So I'll kick it off. My name is Jaideep Sinha. This is for the benefit of all the students as well, because a lot of the students don't know me. My name is Jaideep Sinha. I am with GLA University as Vice President Corporate Relations, and I've been with the university for 3 years. Prior to that, I was working for India's first executive search organization called PSS, Personal Search Services, as principal consultant. During that tenure, in fact, I had an opportunity to meet Rashmi, and then I'm sure she would not recognize me with this horrible, lockdown hairstyle. So let me take this honor and pleasure of welcoming everybody, especially all the speakers, taking out time from their busy schedules and making this possible. Special thanks to Govind. Without his initiative, this would have definitely not been possible. So I'll take everybody by name: Govind, Rakul, Jayati, Shweta, Rashmi, and Shruti. Thank you very much, all of you. And I am sure this is just the beginning, the first collaboration with HR Success Talk. I'm sure there are many more that we'll do together. Another thing is that this is a humble request to all of you that once the lockdown is open, I will personally invite all of you to our university, our humble university, and I can assure you that we are very good at as hosts. We'll give you a wonderful experience. Another thing is that I would also personally like to come and meet each one of you. I personally believe, the physically sitting across the table and talking to each other has a different experience altogether. So, not taking much time, I'll hand over the baton to Govind. Let's kick it off.
Thank you, Jaideep. And thank you for inviting HR Success Talk and all of us, all these eminent speakers at this point of time, today's webinar. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody is aware that what are we going to discuss today. So we are discussing about innovation in this disruption time in 2020, and you know what's happening all around. So we will be talking about how innovation is playing a role out there. Before that, I would like to make sure that everybody is aware about HR Success Talk as a community. So I'll start with a small presentation and quickly take you guys through that. I'm assuming that all of you can see my screen. Can anybody just say?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. So HR Success Talk is basically a community of HR professionals and business leaders. We founded in 2013. We have approx 1 lakh HR professionals across India. This is one of the biggest in India so far. And one of our vision and the reason why we exist is that we provide this platform to all the HR professionals and business leaders to come together and be a better professionals every day. What I mean by that they can learn from each other, they can teach other, they can be a mentor, they can be a mentee, and there are various ways people can leverage this platform to be a better professionals every day. What are the advantage if you are a member of HR Success Talk? When I say member, it simply means that you are connected with us in some social media. There is no specific form or anything you guys need to fill. But if you're a member of us, you can share and learn. You can also be, you can also find your mentors. And this is, I think, great for people who are in college and universities right now and the students. They can find great mentors out there. There are 1 lakh HR professionals who are there to help in the business leaders. This is a platform or a community to network. You can meet other people. All the speakers you see today is basically we met through this platform, and we'll continue with this relationship going forward with all of you and the speakers we have. As one of our vision is that we wish to make every professional in our group a better professional every day. So we have actually created a learning ecosystem here. And this learning ecosystem consists of webinar, which you just see right now, which is right now happening. We also have a HR forum where people can come and ask questions. They can request for different process, policies, formats. We have a huge presence in social media, because of which we are able to share knowledge faster to our people. And there are almost like 1 lakh people in different social media which are connected with us. HR Spring Meet is something which we used to do before lockdown, and we used to do panel discussions and things like that in person, but these are put on hold. We have a YouTube channel where we interview a lot of eminent HR professionals, and people can come and listen to them on a particular topic, and then they can use this information to grow in their career. We also have assessment and certifications. We provide certification to HR professionals. Currently, we have launched a certification on basics of labor laws. If you go to the chat box, you might see some links to that. If you are interested to apply for that, please feel free to do so. Before that, we actually did a certification on design thinking in HR, but that's over, and now we are doing a certification on labor laws. HR awards, this is another great opportunity to recognize people in HR field. The first HR award we did was Young HR Minds. So I think these were young people in HR who actually showcased their work to all of us. This time we have launched, and this is going on, called the Eminent Woman Leader Award. And there are 3 categories where a lot of eminent leaders in women categories are applying. We have a website called www.hrsuccesstalk.com. So please go and visit that. And this is the ecosystem which we have. Keep looking at the chat box. You will find a lot of links which you are interested. You can participate. This is one of the glimpses of our social media presence in different. We also have WhatsApp group. If you want to join WhatsApp group, you can still go to the chat box. You will see a link out there and you can join. And if you wish to be a volunteer, so we have 1 lakh HR professionals, but we also have 40 volunteers who are working to make this whole learning ecosystem work. So this whole ecosystem works because we have 40 volunteers who are working with us. If you want to be a volunteer with us, these are the 4 qualities you need. You should be ready to do it voluntarily because it is not a paid community. It is a community of people which come together, find some time from the job and study and contribute. You should have a zeal to help others. You should be willing to invest some time, let's say 2 to 3 hours a week. And you should have eagerness to learn. And that's where it pays back to you guys. These are some of the glimpses before lockdown when we used to do our lot of events. And GLA was part of one of our events as well. So thank you there to be participating with us. These are some of the other glimpses of our events. We have a team of advisors and core committee because of which we do it. This is myself. I'm the founder of HR Success Talk. We built it 8 years back. This is the glimpse of our advisors, as you can see. This is the list of all the volunteers who is working on different verticals which we have. This is our online certification, poster making, HR awards, YouTube, HR forum, HR blog. We also have a HR team because 40 volunteers, you need a HR team to take care of it. So this is our HR team out there. With that said, I think we are done with the presentation. In case you have questions, you want to be a volunteer, you can write us at info@hrsuccesstalk.com, visit our website, or also write at hrsuccesstalk1@gmail.com. This is all about our presentation. Thank you very much for spending time and listening to me here. With that said, I would like to now talk about our webinar today. Before that, some sort of housekeeping items. What I want to tell you guys is that we will be allowing you guys to ask your questions, but not during the webinar. What we would like you to is that put your questions in the chat box. We will pick the relevant questions from the chat box and we will ask it to our panelists. I would request all of you to please keep yourself on mute. Raise your hands in case you have any questions, or I would suggest that write it on the chat box. That is a better way. And now let me move on to our actual event. And let me start with introducing you guys to our moderator, who is Rashmi ma'am. And let me give you some kind of introduction about Rashmi. So Rashmi ma'am, if you can just unmute yourself and say hi to the group, that would be great.
Hello, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Now, Rashmi is the CHRO of the Wave Groups. And I'm sure if you are in Delhi NCR, you might have heard of Wave Cinema Halls and a lot of projects they do. She is a postgraduate in human resources from XLRI Jamshedpur with over 20 years of experience in HR across multiple industries. She's also a certified master assessment expert, executive coach, and a change management expert. She was awarded as one of the most influential HR leader in India by the World HRD Congress in 2016. So welcome Rashmi ma'am to this webinar. We have, now I'm going to talk about our speakers. The first is Prakul Kumar. So welcome Prakul, if you can just unmute yourself and hi, say hi to everybody.
Hi everyone. Morning.
Yeah, so a special thanks to Prakul because Prakul is right now in Dubai and I know that it is early for him as compared to us because of the time zone difference. So special thanks, Prakul. Prakul is the head HR of international business at Dower International. And I'm sure that does not need any kind of introduction because Dower is a non-brand in India. He has 15 years of experience in learning and experience human resources management in across location around the globe in a journalist profile. He has worked with companies like JK Tires, Mosaic ITES, Hindustan Levers, and currently associated with the Dower Group for the last 10 years. In his current role, he's heading the HR of international business operation out of Dubai, and he looks after countries like GCC, USA, UK, African region, Levant, Egypt, Turkey, Iran, etc. So welcome Prakul to the panel. Moving on to Jyoti Roy. Jyoti, can you unmute yourself and say hi to everybody?
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. And Jyoti is the Director of Human Resources in Barco. She is an experienced HRD and change management specialist with over 17 years of experience across highly complex businesses and industry. She's also very passionate about the sustainability and CSR initiative of the organization and actively partnered in this space. Prior to joining Barco's, Jyoti was group head HRD at NDTV Group, where she owned the people agenda for NDTV. And before that, she has been with leading organizations like Pionway, GE, Infosys, Bharat Petroleum, and thereby gathering a diverse industry understanding. So welcome Jyoti to this panel. Can I just request somebody with the name of P to mute? I have muted you, please. And I would request again to all the attendees, there's no need to unmute yourself. You just keep yourself mute. Moving on to Sweta Tanwar. Sweta, if you just can say hi to everybody.
Hi everyone, hey, good morning.
The youngest among the panelists with a very cool red color headphone. So Sweta is the head of immersive learning products and solutions in 361 Minds. She is a TAPMI postgraduate in marketing, HR analytics, and NIT graduate in computer science. Wow. Her earlier stint was with Infosys, where she served as facilitator for multiple technical and behavioral trainings. She was also the voice of youth ambassador at Infosys, we can totally see. One of the highlights of her career is she closely worked with Vishal Sikka, ex-CEO Infosys, and Pramod Panda, who is L&D head of Infosys to certify all the Infosys as design thinker. Shweta has been an eminent keynote speaker at various corporate and academic events. Very impressive profile, Shweta, in such a young age. So welcome to the group.
Thank you.
And
thank you very much.
yeah, moving on to the last but not the least, and one of the dynamic speaker which we have is Shruti Singh. So Shruti, if you mind saying hi to everybody. All right, Shruti have a very interesting story, but maybe we'll skip it for the breakout time. So Shruti, as I said, she's very dynamic, and you can see very well that Shruti is the head of HR and operation in Mobilis Softtech. She has 16 years of rich combined expertise in strategic HR management with a key focus on optimal resource utilization and organization development. She is a people development strategist who loves to design sustainable solutions and create an impact on an organization and people's life. She's been 17 years with multi-industry experience in talent development and management. She's the mentor for change in ATL. She's the regional leader for Lean In. She's also a circle leader for Gurgaon Lean In. She's a handwriting analyst, so don't send your letters to her because she's gonna find out what personality you are. And then she's in community service at Nirbhaya Jyoti Trust and Stop Acid Attack. So I think very impressive profile out there, Shruti. And I know that you've been very passionate about all the social work for women, and you've always been seen as a woman leaders in the social space. With that said, we are done with introducing all our panelists here. And now I think we all are ready to talk about our discussion, which is on innovation disruption, which means, Rashmi ma'am, over to you. You are the in charge and the captain of the ship now.
Okay, thank you. So good morning, everyone, again. And the topic, as you know, is without wasting much time, is innovation and during disruption. I will link both two together. Now, the topic, as you see, is so relevant in today's context. We are talking about disruption when we are sitting about in the midst of the most uncertain, ambiguous, unpredictable times, the COVID disruption. So this is disruption that is going on. But even pre-COVID, the technology-led innovation was disrupting every company. Okay, and they were already altering the market landscape. So every organization was trying to, alter themselves and modify themselves. So this has been going on for some time now. But what COVID has done is earth-shaking. So what happens when such things happen? Some organizations respond, and some organizations don't, and some do very well. And this also speaks for people. Some people, when you talk about an organization, you talk about people also. So when you respond to the disruption, so what do? You try to survive. So many organizations, there are some organizations who just wait and say, okay, let the time pass and then we'll see. There are others who try out new things. So leading in the new is the formula for success. So if you just try to survive, you try to reach out to your market some way or the other, you will survive. But if you do something new, in this disruptive time, it is a formula for success. So actually, if you think, let's look in the positive way, disruption actually ushers in the new in the future. And from disruption comes the new. And companies and people who continuously reinvent themselves and through agility and experimentation, they are the ones who survive and who grow. So actually, disruption, if I'm speaking of the second word, is actually an opportunity for all of us. It depends on who capitalizes on this. You can make this opportunity real big. And don't forget, this opportunity comes once in a while knocking to your door. And you need to recognize it. You need to hold on to it. And then you need to convert it. And if you don't respond to it, then it becomes a threat. So now coming to my first question to the panelists. So I'll be asking the same set of questions to everyone to get the different perspectives so that the audience has a lot of takeaway. So that's the objective. So before I come to the first question, what I want to mention is sometimes disruption, it can also be predictable. So like technology, we knew it was predictable. Something is going to come. Now we are in the midst of COVID and we know what's going to happen now. So sometimes it can be anticipated also, it can be met also, and it can be controlled. So as organizations and as people, how do we create that intelligent enterprise? How do we integrate the new technologies? And how do we adapt to the customer needs? See, right now we're sitting on very rigid organizations, structures that has come from the industrial age, where these structures that we have, the hierarchies that we have, they're so rigid that, often it becomes very difficult to cope with the pace of innovation and the complexity, let alone predict it. And so what is required? So what is the crucial capability that is required is agility. So if you need agility to survive, so you need liquid organized structures. They play a big role in enabling organizations to become agile. And, and it helps us to respond to the market if you're an agile organization. So my first question to the panelists is, today's leaders are very well aware that you need to make a timely change if you need to survive. And this is true transformational innovation. If you want to flourish, otherwise you'll become extinct. So according to you, what needs to change and what needs to be maintained in the organization to make it ready for such transformational innovation? So maybe we can begin with Shweta.
Sure. Hi, everyone. So, Rashmi, you mentioned that sometimes disruption can be expected and sometimes it is unexpected. So, with my journey at 361-degree Minds, I'd like to share a short story wherein I'll show that how 361 survived both the kinds of disruptions and how it came out stronger. So, back in 2006, when we started off, we were primarily offering classroom learning solutions for corporates. It was going great. We were doing some good business at global level. And yet, when we realized that that model was not very scalable, and more importantly, that our learners were evolving, we decided to move to blended and digital completely. Now that was disruptive for our business, but we expected it. It was disruptive because most of our revenues used to come from classroom. And we also had to let go of a few people when we decided to let go of that business. But then in the end, it all turned out well. Then we had better solutions, more flexible, more scalable, much more effective. And since then, we have been innovating incrementally, not so much disruptively. We were trying to explore and experiment with technologies like AR, VR, artificial intelligence, and then again, it was all going great. And then this COVID happened. It took the whole world by surprise. Our clients had to reprioritize, which resulted in some stalled order for us. Some were even canceled. It was bad for a while. But one thing was that none in my team, I can reckon, not a single person in our team felt an iota of anger or resentment. Of course, we're a little upset, but not for ourselves, for the whole community, for everyone who was in this. That was because we could empathize. It was easy to empathize because we were all facing the same pandemic. And that empathy allowed us to act swiftly and come up with a set of programs that were relevant in times like these. We were able to put together an agile team that could respond to our clients on a very short notice. And that is how we came out stronger again. So why I'm telling all this is, I want our listeners to observe how things like technology, pedagogy, workflows, work processes, all have been changing since the inception of 361. But I'll tell you what did not change. Our focus on learner centricity, our vision, our values. So to answer your question, Rashmi, I think for organizations as well as individuals to be able to innovate, it is very important that they constantly revisit and reevaluate that what they are doing and how they are doing. At the same time, they need to be anchored on why they are doing it.
Thank you, Shweta. Loved your story, and the point that you said that, it's so important to always revisit and to reevaluate what you're doing and to see how and what you're doing and to be anchored at all times. Yes, this is very important. Now, moving on to Shruti, what is your perspective on this? What's your say?
Honestly speaking, I hate complexities. When designing up a system, and primarily my experience lies with working with larger organization at beginning of my career to now working towards establishing the startup space and helping them grow or create an environment where they can flourish more. Looking at the perspective that we have to talk about innovation and transformation and the survival instinct for all our organization, historically speaking, people who have been able to innovate and transform themselves are the only ones that have been able to survive. The protocol remains the same. However, the definition of innovation and transformation has changed drastically when it comes to the era that we are living in COVID-19, or the whole pandemic, which has has pushed us to look at things very differently. We have innovated and we have transformed ourselves so much that we were any which way surviving through a humanity crisis and the climate crisis and existential dilemma. What COVID helped us to look back and get the focus back is towards the human cost of the crisis. Having said that, how did we all respond to it? And it's a very interesting journey for all of us, from being HR and managing multiple people, multiple geographies with the complexities, others have. Mine has been, working and functioning with smaller organization. But protocol I felt was, the same. One, it helped us to get back to ourselves much more stronger. Survival in terms of the journey, in terms of the product, in terms of how we need to make things happen. Our adaptability or our response to a change was way faster. The acceptability was way faster. And that made us realize that how strong or how weak we can be. While the external factors are not supporting, what is helping us grow as an organization in all capacity that we could say is that, we went back to our people much more stronger. Listening to them, pivoting to what is their need to learn and to reassess things and quickly make things happen within the system was what was prioritizing, for us. Having said that, also that we did witness in terms of, the anxiety that people were going through, the role of social media and the role of government preceding over everything else, and how we're supposed to be balancing that, all came into picture. And from an HR perspective, from a people change focus, for us, I think something got really happened, and it is for the greater good. And I just hope that, once we are back to so-called normal, it should continue. While we were focusing on, modeling ourselves through head, heart, and hand, the health element got added. So right now, if I look at larger, changes that are happening with organization, talking in terms of restructuring their performance system, restructuring their entire functioning philosophy, it has become 4H, which is head, heart, hand, and health. From an operational point of view, reassessing things, redirecting, adapting to digital transformation, the speed has taken up. And finally, in terms of leadership, rather than people delivering numbers month after month, week after week, the focus has changed to building trust, empathy, and confidence. And that's a huge shift. And, one has to acknowledge that we've done a very, very beautiful job over here. Because post-COVID, how we experience ourselves, how do we experience ourselves as a customer, as an employee, as a child, as a citizen, as a human has changed. And our response to that is where, the transformational journey begins with. Innovation definitely has helped. And we believe that if we can continue it with the human element in it, I think we can survive much more. That's all from my side, Rashmi.
Oh, very well said. And there are 2 points that really came up. One was those 4 H's that we said: head, heart, hand, and health. That, and how the pandemic has made us look at things so differently. So many things have happened. I mean, did it actually need a pandemic for us to do all these things? This is the irony of the thought. The other thing that you mentioned was very important, was that you said that instead of running after numbers month after month, week after week, now we're looking at trust, empathy, and confidence. And I hope we continue to do that after the COVID, when it's over, when it's finally over. So moving on to Jayati, what is your view, Jayati, on this?
So we've got 2 very interesting perspectives that we've heard from my fellow panelists. What I'll bring about is 2 things. One, there are parts about transformation or innovation that have not changed over the years. And that's what makes a successful transformation happen. That's partly, one of the few things that make it, of course. And there are some things which remain constant. So I'm not going to get into trying and talking about things which you can, of course, access through reading on the net. if I just look back into my experience right from my childhood days when I was born up in the steel city of Jamshedpur, Tata Nagars, right? And we look at transformation and innovation right from the house of the Tatas, we could see that there was a vision that was there. And that's an element that will remain constant in any change or any transformation that happens. These people were trying to set up a steel factory at a place which was closer to the natural resources, but knew it would be difficult to get labor. So then they went about establishing a full-fledged township, went about ensuring that, hey, if I've established a township, what am I doing to those people? Am I just bringing them there and keeping them? So establish education system, look at healthcare, look at building a whole community living around it. I think the way this was set up was very simple. It had a vision. The vision got communicated very effectively through the processes that was put into place, and then got internalized as the culture within the organization. So any change that we see, and this was one instance, the other, and Shweta being an ex-Infoscion with me would also associate with it. If I look at Infosys as an organization, when we were at a hiring spree, and I'm talking back about 2003, and we were still building up, we knew we wanted to build certain competencies and skills within the organization or within the teams. Now, how would that be possible? Was the market ready? And we realized, hey, if this is not going to be a ready-made market, can we enhance the ecosystem and bring the market up? So the vision was very clear. We need to be a software service country, a country that's leading through software and technology. If we need to do that, how can we enable our ecosystem to help us? So reach out, spread the word, co-train your people, let them come on board and go through those humongous days of software training, those schoolings, the training centers, which now almost all of these software organizations have. So the formula that I've seen over the years has been simple. Have that vision, follow that through with a detailed communication plan, which people can help connect with. So I'm not just another cog in the wheel trying to drive innovation, but I can fully see where I fit into this picture. And then ensure that it is internalized into your culture and process. What, of course, cannot change and have remained constant, even if you look at this or you look at other organizations, and I think Shruti and Shweta did touch upon it, is the basic ethos or the basic value system of the organization. So if that keeps changing, then you lose your identity as an organization or as an individual. So if today, you look at a Coca-Cola bottle, or you look at Coca-Cola as a logo or as an organization, or you looked at it several years back, it still looks the same. A Tata would still stand out for those same qualities that it did many years ago. So your basic ethos, your basic value system remains unchanged. Of course, if little modifications are needed over time, you would do it, but internalize it and keep that and phrase and move.
Thank you, Jayanti. I think the points you touched on and the point you said about being what should remain constant during transformational innovation is remarkable, because we always think about what we should do, what are the new things COVID has taught us and all, but what you said was very, very important, that what should remain constant. And you gave a very good example of course, Tata's and the vision, how it's stuck on, it should be there, and it should be clear, very well communicated, and dug deep into the culture so that people really follow it. And what should not change is the basic value system. That should be imbibed and should, be strong, and then only innovation can take place. Thank you, Jayanti. It was very good. And now moving on to Prakul, can we have your views, please?
Hi, morning everyone again. So very well said. All the three speakers have already touched upon the basics, basically what we need to continue. But just on the part is that I would like to just touch base upon is that, for a change, yes, the organizations have to be very much adaptable, and flexibility has to be in the thought process, which is a top-down approach which comes in the organization with the leaders, that we have to be continuously innovating in our products and services, because the market is changing every day, the consumer behaviors are changing every day, and many of the new players, they keep on coming in the market. Many of the current players, they keep on innovating, and so we have seen examples like Nokia and some other big organizations, brands that have failed because of not adapting to the change. So not adapting to the change of the consumer behavior, what the consumer needs. So we started with the supercomputers, the mainframes, which were like, the CPUs were like as good as a big size of a living room. From that, we moved to desktops with those big screens and hefty models, and then we moved to sleek screens, laptops, and now these tablets and phablets have taken over the world. So the flexibility and the mindset, basically the mindset, the organization has to adapt it in the mindset, in the processes also, and companies have to ready to invest in that. So providing a research and development kind of facilities. They have to, secondly, they have to plan. So planning is something which is constant. So where do I want my organization to be standing in next 1 year or 2 years? So will I be doing it with my current portfolio of the products and services, or will it be I would be requiring a new thing to be introduced? Will I be requiring a new product or services to be introduced? That forecast has to be there in the system, that the team should be equipped enough to predict that forecast, to see what is going to what probably will be the requirement going forward. So will my current basket of the products and services will be able to cater the market needs in next 2 years, 3 years time? So that kind of a change that we need to have. And also the innovation. So it is not about I've got a new product today and I sit back and relax that now that's it, so I have conquered the world. So may not be that. So currently we are talking on Zoom. We all are connected, almost 250 people are there who had thought about this Zoom 6 months back before the pandemic. So but they had already started working on this. So these kind of things are there. So like Amazon has now been delivering the products through drones. They have gone to that next level, from the delivery boys to the delivery vans to the drones. So that kind of a thing, to how do we make it more better, and how we will be able to survive in the market which is changing, the consumer behaviors. I tell you the examples here. So we are an FMCG company, and we have products all across the globe, I would say. So the products that we are products that are liked in India, like we have Amla hair oil, we have Vatika range, we have Chyawanprash, we have a lot of other things. But these things do not stand good for African market. So they have their own, they don't like Chyawanprash. They don't need Chyawanprash, but then they have a different need. So because of the texture of their hairs, and they are very keen on hairstyling. So we have been innovating products which suits their needs. And because of this pandemic, you won't believe the stimulus. We have already heard that USA government has given a stimulus to all the citizens, and a good 5,000 kind of dollars per person in the family was given. So it was making to some very, family of 4-5 people were earning some good $8,000-9,000 they have earned sitting at home. So where they have spent it. So you won't believe that Afro-American community, the ethnicity people, have spent almost 25-30% on their hairstyling sitting at home. So earlier they were going to the salons. Now the salons were not allowed to be open. So they have, they were looking for the products that, can be delivered to their home, first thing. And second, which the styling can be done at home. So we were pretty fast in that, and we launched some of the products in just a 15-20 days time, turnaround time. And that has given us leverage. So this is something which is, with the innovation, when the total organization is very adaptable to the innovations, to the change which are coming, so that will help survive and grow the business. That's it.
Thank you, Prakul. I love that salon part the most, of course. And anyway, what you spoke about was, how important it is, to adapt and to be flexible. The importance of the consumer need is very important. What does the consumer need today? Maybe the next question that we have is based on that. And you also spoke about predictability, to know, not to wait for the customer to tell you, but to know in advance that what he would require, she would require, and then adapt yourself. And not sitting back on your product. You made your product and you say, how do I adapt it better? How do I make my customer, happy, and, and why he should not go to competition and he should stay with me. I think they were very good points, Prakul. Now, I will move on to the second question. I think we've taken pretty long on the first one, so we'll have to move a little fast on the second one. So this one comes from the word empathy. Okay, so I think Shweta touched on this in the beginning. So empathy, we all know, is the key to innovation. And empathy is just not something just nice to have, but it's the core of any innovation agenda in a company. That's what Satya Nadella has said. And that's what we're going to speak about. But so what does it mean? What he meant was that, how do I understand those unarticulated needs of the customer, without him saying it? How do I understand when he is not articulated is when you have empathy. If you have empathy, you can understand the needs of your customer, of your stakeholder, of your employee, everyone. So he said the source of innovation comes from having a deep sense of empathy. Satya Nadella has said this. So my question to my panelists is, according to you, does empathy help innovation push its way through continuous disruption in the marketing landscape? Maybe we'll start with you, Prakul, this time.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Rashmi. Yes, so I think behind every innovation is the empathy that the organizations have. So all the organizations are basically the profit-making organizations are working on for the products and services for the consumers, for the customers. So I would give you a latest example. This pandemic reached out of China almost in January, and we all started getting affected in February almost. So we were not into hand sanitizers. So when we realized that this pandemic is going out of control and will be affecting most part of the world, we had not expected that it will affect the whole world. But when we had seen our teams have realized that this is going to affect the world, and the most important thing that WHO and everybody was saying that it's a need of your keep on sanitizing and washing your hands. So from there, with our team, with our brand management teams, with our supply chain, backend supply chain teams, and so we all together turned around and launched the hand sanitizers in just 4 days of turnaround time. So that was one of the one of the biggest, I would say the fastest innovation that we were able to do, and being nowhere, it was not in our product portfolio ever. And then that was not all. That was not all. So we then went across, and then how will it be more? This pandemic is not going to go for at least next year, which looks like it will be available in base and traces. So then what next? So next is we have done research. We have our teams keep on spending time, and then we reached from hand sanitizers to the body washes that can sanitize, hand washes that are as good as sanitizers. Then we reached to shampoos, which can give you, the sanitizing effect once you which is very important once you come back home from outside, and you need to have this thing, so which can be just applied, and which can be just you don't need to take a real wash, and that can help you. So all those things, the next level has been reached from this pandemic, which is very close. Earlier we initially we got masks, so the cloth mask, that 3-ply cloth mask. Now we are getting we have available that face shields, which are more comfortable to be worn, and which are more comfortable. You can, all the employees and workers can work very comfortably. It's not sticking just to next to your mouth and nose, but it protects you. So these are the innovations. These are the things which are coming up with the empathy on what is required. So empathy is basically which is driving all the innovations. And then I would suggest the AI companies now, they have introduced some systems which which can control your movement within the office. And if the employees are not maintaining social distancing, the alarm buzzes off, their mobile phones start ringing. And so these are all coming from the empathy, because employers have to get back to work. The offices will be open again. We will be all working from the offices, will be all going out. But then this social distancing, hand sanitizing, all this will remain in place for quite a time now. So these are all the things which are coming from the empathy. So empathy actually drives it. Empathy actually drives it, because all the companies are making products for the consumers and customers. So as the need changes, these we need to be very tapping on the needs, consumer behaviors, analysis of the markets. Yeah.
Thank you, Prakul. Very nice to know. And you link the empathy to all those products. Of course, we'd love to have all those products also. So when they're available in India, please let us know. We'd like to feel safe also, because like the WHO said today, that I don't know how many of you all read it today, that COVID is not going, it will not be easy to eliminate COVID. So we'll need all these products thanks to empathy. So now we come to you, Jaiti. What is your perspective on this?
So let me go with a little bit of a story on this one. So I was in an organization sitting in the chairman's room, and this is one of my former organizations. The housekeeping person walks in, just serves a glass of tea. The chairpersons in the room, they actually ask by name about their daughter. I mean, the housekeeping person's daughter, how is she doing? She was unwell. So and the same I could see with these lady and gentlemen when walking around with the driver of the company, checking if his son is attending classes and if everything is okay, if his fees have been paid on time. So this was a perspective that I saw, and the organization, of course, was NDTV with Dr. Pranay Roy and Mrs. Radhika Roy. So a lot of controversies are there around the organization. I would stay away from that aspect of it. But if I look at it, what has made that place stay on, and a lot of people keep asking, how does that place keep surviving despite all odds and ends in the media space? It's probably this whole aspect of empathy. And, from if your chairpersons can relate to employees to that extent, they also relate to customers. So that was probably a pioneer of an organization. It started broadcast when broadcast television was not there. It went digital when digital was not the in thing. It started a mobile app when mobile app was not there. So someone who can, what is empathy? It's about listening. I think that's the fundamental skill of empathy. So if that skill is imbibed, then you relate from both a customer end and also the employees. So that was one instance. The other, if I look at my current organization also, and this is more about, Barco is into an electronic space, right from looking at hardware products like projectors from a cinema space to, visualization devices, display devices. That's what we take care of, control room devices as well. And as an organization, we do have a product called ClickShare, which is a plug and play device, which takes takes off that whole need of having a wire, HDMI cable, etc. During innovation, there was a point of time, so the device now is a basic square with a single circle. So it's just a one click and your content gets projected on screen. So that's where the empathy piece came in. This, when the design phase was being done and, it was looking at reinventing ourselves into it, it was complex to bring everything small. So there could be a number of buttons, but people kept listening to the market and saying, hey, if there are too many buttons, it's difficult for the users to relate and come back. Let's keep toggling around this till the size of it gets diminished. There is just one click and it's up on air. What did that do? It, of course, increased the efficiency and effectiveness. It also gave us an innovative edge of coming out with a product which was so well connected, well in time. So I guess listening, having that compassion to see or be in the shoes of the user and realizing what they want. And I think the ultimate, and I keep going back across organizations. So if you look at Infosys again, and some of us would have read in the newspapers, it actually chartered a plane, picked up its employees and families from SFO and brought them back home to Bangalore. Now that's an organization which again has role modeled empathy in a very different manner. They didn't need to do it. I mean, there are tons of employees who are stranded across the globe. But that's a level that it takes itself to, and that's probably what keeps employees glued to the organization or connected to the organization. And these people then want to learn, want to drive, and want to lead and innovate in lines with what the company has done for them. So I think these are a couple of stories which talk for itself in terms of how and why empathy is important where innovation is concerned.
Jayanti, I really liked your first story. Second story was also very inspiring. The first story where you said, the housekeeper walks in and, you greet the person. How well you can be connected to your employees is only, you can have, for any digital transformation, for any transformation, you need all those processes, technology. But if you don't take the people along, it will never happen. So it'll never have a lasting effect if you don't take your people along, if they are not passionate. And very well said, you connect with the people, you listen to the people, and that's where empathy comes from. So now we move on to Shruti. What is your perspective on empathy, what Nadella has said?
So I have a little different way to look at it. And with all that examples, which Prakul and Jayanti said, totally acknowledge how you have innovated and evolved hairstyling product and all of that. Was it convenience or was it empathy? Focusing on what is convenient for a consumer while they're paying for it, I think makes slightly different commercial sense, wherein in the given context where empathy can be, worked upon is when you connect to the purpose of a person and understand their need. If I talk in terms of market segmentation and technically going, product largely or the market is driven by consumers, and consumers are people who've got paying capacity. Very few people are able to think about, going beyond that. And in the current context, like we're talking about COVID, it's a humanity crisis. And people still thinking about their balance sheet is something that is really hurtful for me to see. Empathy to me would be like, I'll give you a very live example. When this whole COVID happened, we were contributing, and Rashmi, you were part of the Lean In Circle where we distributed sanitary napkins, hand sanitizers, and, basic living things to beyond 250 families. Sanitary napkins were not accepted by slum people. They also rejected hand sanitizer, stating that we don't have a need for it. We don't understand the product. We had to, distribute it among the, the police and the security staff who understood it. When I was looking into all of these things, I realized that for me to ensure that empathy is there, where would these women go for their, regular needs of monthly mensurations? To me, empathy was when the Padman of India, Dr. Arunachalam, went and disrupted the technology, brought it for the people where they can buy sanitary napkin for 2 rupees and 1 rupee, giving employability to various women, is where I would put my, foot forward and say. Similarly, there is this one more example that I'll take is a schoolboy, engineering student who is a dropout from his third year and is running a small organization or a product called Inali. Inali is an AI-enabled product that he's developing to let's eliminate disability. And this is carrying forward the example that Satya Nadella is talking about. Microsoft as an organization, if you have seen how they have evolved in their product, are much more pioneering into, you know, an inclusive world. And that's what has made Satya Nadella what he is today. He's not known for driving profitability. He's known for driving profitability with value system. Apple has not driven that. Apple is a premium product. It's for the people who know how to sell their kidney and buy a product. So one has to be very clear when it comes to empathy. It's a human crisis situation where we are. And how are we driving those things out? As an organization, the value system has to speak of those things. And that's where I believe that, you know, continuous disruption has to happen. The market landscape has to change. If we have to survive, we have to change that. Something that has to go, like I didn't see any of the companies making hand sanitizer at a subsidized rate. And that's hurtful. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thanks, Shruti. You brought in that commercial aspect, which is very important because we look at empathy only on one way, getting into somebody's shoes. Yes, but in which aspect? And the last point that you said was really good, that did anyone make a sanitizer? Prakul, we are not talking about you. Okay, did anyone make a sanitizer that was subsidized that could actually help the people? But, you know, everybody saw their profits, didn't they? Okay. So, Shweta, can we have your perspective now?
Sure, yes. So I cannot agree more with Shruti on how empathy means connecting with the purpose. So I have actually read this book by Satya Nadella called Hit Refresh. It's an amazing book wherein time and again he emphasizes that how important empathy is for innovation. And here we are talking about the empathy which connects with the purpose. There is also this companies like Apple, we have Nike, we have 3M, they all swear by an approach called design thinking for innovation. I myself, as an ex-Infoscian, has driven many design thinking initiatives. Well, you know what? The centerpiece to design thinking is again empathy. So, and everyone was talking about their stories. I also remembered one, and I'd like to share this one story with everyone, that how a product called Chetna came into being at 361 DM. So one of my friend and colleague, Rujita, she was in Gujarat for a business meeting. Now, Rujita happens to be a very tender-hearted person and often goes out of her way to help the needy. That particular day, after her meeting, she decided to pay a visit to an orphanage that was en route to her place of accommodation. Now, when she arrives there, she notices a little child sitting in a corner, alone, watching other kids play. So she walks up to this child to strike a conversation. But alas, she could not. Because unlike you and me, the child was not blessed to be able to speak. Between that day and today, more than 2,000 teachers of Gujarat have undergone a teacher training program, mobile teacher training program, that has enabled them with the knowledge, tools, and techniques to drive classes more inclusively. As you all would have guessed, that mobile learning teacher training program was Chetna. So I want everyone to see that how a single moment of empathy, just a moment of empathy, resulted in such a beautiful product like Chetna and impacted so many lives. Today, Chetna has been adopted by 3 states across country and many more in pipelines. And this was not something that we used to do. I mean, we often cater to corporates, and this was a government schools. Teachers in government schools, you know that how educated they are, how tech savvy they are. It was meant for them. is totally going out of way of what we actually do. So I really believe that this is a live example of the empathy that connects with the purpose. So I think I would end at this note. The story in itself talks about the power of empathy, and it is definitely very, very important to drive innovation.
Thank you, Shweta. I loved your story. Very sweet. And I think we are running out of time, and Govind is signaling to me from the other end. So, so Govind, if you can take over now, we have something very, very interesting for the panelists and for everybody else, the QFR. Keep guessing what that is.
Yeah, Rashmi, if you don't mind, we have some questions from the audience. Not many, but few. So would you like to take them?
So we can
have
do that.
time. We have time for that.
Can we do the QFR first and then we have the questions? At least we can. Yeah, if you can carry on with the QFR.
Yes, so let me share my screen with you guys and then we can go from there. There we go. I'm assuming you guys can see my screen. Rashmi, over to you.
I thought you were taking over. Anyway, I will. So who's controlling the files? Because I don't have the slide with
Myself.
me. Okay. So this is a quick fire round. This is for the panelists, and next time we'll have it for the entire audience. So you will have one or two options as the answer, like Kaun Banega Crorepati. There is no right or wrong answer. You have to either prioritize them or put them in any way of importance, and then we will quickly ask you. We'll give you like 5 seconds to answer, and then we'll sum up and we'll decide. And the participants will also get to know what is more important and what is less. So maybe we can move on to the first slide. So innovation starts with empathy, idea, mindset. Please think over, according to you, what is your priority of all this?
Empathy.
So that was Shruti?
Empathy.
So all of you all? Who I didn't hear Prakul and Jayati.
Empathy.
So
Empathy from the external point of view.
Okay, and what about idea and mindset? Which one would be first among these two? I mean, second to empathy. You need the idea first or you need the mindset?
I would say mindset,
Okay.
because if the organization is not open to innovation, then the ideas might not flourish.
Excellent, very well said. So we have empathy, mindset, and then the ideas will flow. Thank you. We can move on to the next slide. What are the drivers of innovation? Problems, constraints, opportunities.
This is difficult.
Yeah, I would say it's
I think
problems and constraints.
I see problems give rise to opportunities. I mean,
yeah,
probably that's the way I would look at it.
Let's think simple. Hey, problems.
Problems. So you're saying problems. So there's a problem, so people try to change and they try to survive. Constraint, they change the process. Opportunity, when it comes striking, so you're right. Problems and opportunities go hand in hand. You know, you have a problem, you have an opportunity, and you seize it. But you can just have an opportunity also if you want. I don't know. What would you say, Govind?
Yeah, I think for me, the first thing is basically the problem. Because if you don't have the problem to solve, I think that's where you get stuck. So for me, it's a problem.
In Hindi, there is a I don't exactly remember, but there is a saying, "Zarurat avishkar ki janni hai."
It's in English also.
Yeah.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah.
So that can lead to opportunities also.
Yes. But if you look up the Wikipedia, A, B, and C, for your information, are all three at the same level.
I agree.
Yes, 100%.
Because when you're constrained, then you find alternate channels to move around. So constrain a river, you'll find itself flowing somewhere else.
In fact, there is a technique called forced constraints that is deliberately used to do innovation.
True.
Yeah.
All three are relevant.
Somebody has to mute. You can move over and somebody can mute somebody. What are the innovation enablers? Culture, capabilities, awareness. What do you think enables innovation? What comes first?
Culture.
Culture.
Absolutely. Bang on. Culture, right? Govind, you agree?
Yeah, and I think I would choose the same. Culture is the first thing.
Yeah, you can have the best processes, you can have everything, but if you don't have a culture, it will not move. The next one. Okay. If you know innovation is one side of the coin, what is the other side? There could be a third word for this also.
Yeah, it could have stagnation.
I was-
Extinction.
I would have said stagnation. Absolutely stagnation, you know.
And followed by that would be extinction. So you would just not exist.
Yeah. Okay, move on, please, Govind. Okay, I've given only 2 examples over here of disruptive innovation, Netflix and Amazon. Can each of you all give one good example of disruptive innovation?
I guess Airbnb comes to my mind as well.
Very good, very
from the
well
way
said.
it-
Yes, yes, Airbnb, of course.
I was about to say the same, Airbnb.
Chalega. What
Yeah.
else?
Maybe Zomato, Swiggy, Food Panda.
Aggregators have taken over, but I think Google leads the league.
Yeah.
The way they have amalgamated the data and have led the entire disruptive innovation get its space is where it is at this given point of time.
Absolutely. We couldn't live without Google.
Yeah.
I have one more company. I'm not sure if everyone would agree, but then I think IKEA is also, in my view, an innovator. You know, their designs and the way they market themselves, the way they put themselves, you know, how they come across, that is very innovative.
Yeah, the way you bring all your stuff home and you mantle and
Yeah.
dismantle them. Yeah, it's not easy, of course.
You should all see how they launched themselves, how they launched their store in Hyderabad. There is only one store in India.
Yeah.
But then they used augmented reality autos, and then they gave everyone free rides. One could just sit in that auto, wear the AR glasses, and take a tour of the city. And the city would be completely different, like with all the virtual figures and uh, the crafts and all. So it was very beautiful and innovative.
And what they have done, IKEA, in each country is that, so besides the showroom, anyone who goes in, goes in early in the morning, because they have a wonderful cafeteria in each of the stores, they have the best food and at very subsidized rates. You can sit there for have your breakfast, your lunch, and then go home in the evening. So yes,
Right.
indeed disruptive. Yeah, you can move on, Govind. So all of them are required for driving innovation, creativity, self-starter, risk taker, and many, many more. So according to you, what should come first?
C, risk taker.
Risk
I
taker.
agree.
Yeah. Your creativity will go down the drain if you're not.
I would say it should be first creativity. Once, but because I have the creativity, I come up with an idea, then I can take risks whether to go with that or not.
Again, this is very situation dependent. I mean, if I know that there is something which is already trending and I need to just build on that, then I need to be able to have the drive and the appetite to take risks. If it's completely disruptive, not existent, and I want to create something out of the blue, it's creativity. So I don't want to label it and say, hey, this can lead to innovation, but I guess all of these would be right there.
Yeah, agree. What do you say, Govind?
Well, I think you guys will have different thoughts from my side. I would say creativity, self-starter, and then risk taker. And my thought process is that the personal thinks about innovation only when they have creativity, and that's where this generates. And then about self-starter, because if you cannot implement the creativity you have, or you are not something which is self-starter, you will not reach to a stage of the risk taker. For me, the risk taker is the last stage where you are like everything ready, and then you have to take a decision. That's where I think for me the risk taker comes into the stage.
Do we have an option of adding fourth to this?
Yes, go ahead.
I think resilience, and the current pandemic is telling us a lot about that. It's big time needed, because you can keep failing unless you know how to bounce back and try again and fight it out again. Innovation will not happen. So I guess resilience could be added to the list, if at all.
Definitely, very well said.
Yeah, accepting failures actually it will be
Correct.
one of the key in the innovation, because not every first time correct will happen. But then it depends on individual. It can be companies, it can be a person that that drive should be within the self, that the failure is more of learning from the mistakes rather than ending the process of innovation.
Yeah.
Very rightly said. In fact, in some of the companies like Google, they celebrate failures. If someone fails in something, they give them a free vacation and they're like awarded, applauded in front of everyone. So that is the kind of culture that we need to build, to accept failures, because it just teaches us one way of not going about it. That is again a learning.
Yeah,
Learning.
true.
Govind, if we can move on, if there's anything left. So the first word that when you hear innovation, it's an idea, it's something new that's happening, it's an improvement, or it's something else.
I think, see, we spoke about, I think I touched on this in my first answer. Innovation can be disruptive and it can be incremental.
Absolutely.
So depending on what situation it is that is nudging us to do that innovation, it will vary. It could be an improvement or it could be something entirely new, originating from an idea.
So Shweta, sorry to interrupt you. So those are the types of incremental, that there are different types of innovations. When somebody, the question is, it's a very simple question. If somebody tells you that I've innovated something, so what does this come to you? Is it that, oh, you've done something new, or where did you get the idea from, or has your process improved, or something like that? It's very simple. That what comes to your mind?
For me, it's new.
Yeah.
For me, it's idea.
New. Probably.
New. Yes, Govind?
I was saying for me, it's idea. Like somebody says, hey, I innovated something. Like, what is the idea? So.
If you can move on, please. Or that was the last one. So Jayanti mentioned this about the vision part, but this is also something linked to that. What should remain constant? Self-confidence, determination. You're on a project, or you're starting something new, and it's going on. So what do you think you need to maintain? Your self-confidence, determination, perseverance.
All I can only see two. Is there a third?
Yeah, third one is not visible.
I can see this perseverance.
Okay.
So self-confidence, determination, perseverance. Remain constant will happen through perseverance, is how I see it. The resilience.
Yeah.
Everyone says perseverance?
Yes.
Okay, very good. I thought it was confidence. Anyway. Next. Okay. So this is a bit of a copybook question. So there are three types of innovation. One is for the product, one is the process, and one is a business model innovation. Which are the most common types according to you?
Most common is product, that's seen because that keeps happening every other day, and followed by process and followed by a business model and process kind of thing together.
I think we all agree with that. And
Yeah.
we don't have time for examples, right?
Agreed.
In a Me Too market, business model innovation is what helps survive.
True.
Products can be copied.
So thank you.
Yes, thanks.
We have like 10 minutes left, or we've got 12 minutes left for the questions. Govind, if you can go ahead.
Yeah, sure. You can also go to the chat box and see questions. But one of the question I was able to note down was basically for you, Rashmi.
Okay.
This question is from Harshita Kelkar. I think it has already been answered, but maybe let's have your perspective on that. The question is, what is the one most important competency that leaders should have to drive innovation during disruption?
What is the most important?
Competency that
Okay.
leaders should have to drive innovation during disruption. So what's your view on that?
Okay. So I would say that all the competencies are equally important, but what I think would stand out is future fluency. So when you are future fluent, actually you embrace continuous innovation. You seek fresh perspectives. You harness the power of data and analytics. And you're always looking for constant change. So actually future fluency, it's a mindset, it's a skill set, and it's also a capability. And to lead yourself in the future, what do you need? Three things: agility, resilience, and perspective. Agility, resilience, and perspective, all three of them combined make future fluency. And I think that is very important at this point of time. That's my answer.
Thank you very much. There's another question for you, but it's like a multiple choice question, so good. It says, what is more important for transformational innovation? Is it agile organization structure or culture of the organization? So which one you think is the more important?
So yes, so we discussed this. It's very important to have an agile, organization structure, because if there is any calamity or if there's any disruption, if the organization is so rigid, there's a chain of command, you cannot even respond to what is happening in the market. So structures are very important. It's how you remove all those hierarchies. You have the flat organizations, and all that is important. But what is more important, according to me, my perspective, is the culture. If you don't have the culture, you cannot even drive those flat organizations or those liquid organizations. Culture is so important for innovation. And what is the culture we are talking about? A culture where there's transparency, empowerment, and people are passionate about what they do. You allow people to fail. You do not punish them for the failures. In fact, you celebrate them, and it becomes a learning for people. How do we have people in the organization who have a mindset that challenges the status quo, the conventional way of doing things, the standard way of doing things? Then only people will innovate. How do they learn to take risks? So if it is a culture, that culture allows it. I think it's far more important than having the best organization structures, flexible.
Thank
I
you.
would like to actually add something here.
Yeah.
There is a very interesting and relevant quote by Peter Drucker.
Yeah.
It says, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Yes.
So it tells, like, however strong the strategy is, if the culture resists change, then the strategy is bound to fail. So that is how important culture is.
True. Very true.
Thank you. Moving on to one more question, and Prakul, I'll head this question to you, and I need your quick input on that because it is connected with some product. So it says, when we talk about empathy, what should contribute more to the organization? Subsidized products or the expensive one?
Please repeat this.
It says that when we are talking about empathy, what would contribute more to the organization? Subsidized products or the expensive one?
Okay. Neither of them. Because, organizations, while the organizations are built, Jayati ma'am referred to Tata's, and we have so many organizations we see. It is, and in this pandemic time, we have been hearing of, job losses across the world. So it is not about, subsidizing the product, or it is not about making premium products. It is making about the right product which can be accepted. So we have different hierarchies in the society. All of us do not have the same paying power for the product. So somebody who, have a cup of tea in Taj Hotel, maybe spending 500 rupees. Some of us, we might go to a mediocre restaurant and spend some 200 rupees for a tea. And somebody who is, at the roadside tapri, they spend some 2.5 rupees for a tea. So why these things need a different product? Why the product is same, but why it is being priced differently? For our kind of companies, I'll take an example from our kind of companies. All the companies, in fact, have a responsibility towards their employees. It is not, I've spent 10 years in my organization. Somebody has spent 25 years. Somebody has spent 5 years, 2 years. In this pandemic time, will it look good that the company asks the employees to leave because of the cost pressures? Because of the companies not able to sustain? We have to have products in the market. We have to have empathy towards the consumers to understand the empathy of my employees. If I say, okay, I cannot do innovations, I am not able to sustain, you guys please leave. We have read examples of some of the small scale industries in Haryana who were not able to take care of their workers in this pandemic time. These guys have to hire a truck to reach Bihar back their home, paying 3,000 per person. And when the lockdowns were eased out, the manager of that cotton industry has reached back to Bihar with 5 buses to bring those workers back. And what they said, ki, you were not able to take care of us during pandemic. You have not paid our wages. You have not provided us shelter. We were struggling to live. Our families were back at home in Bihar, and now you want us to take back there. So what is the connect you have with us? And they said, we will be happy to have roti with salt rather than going back to your place.
Thank you, Prakul. And I think we have to move on with this one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so I have one more question for Jyoti, and Jyoti, I need a quick opinion out there. Is basically, in a short span of time, how can one innovate? Like, we have very less time, things are happening, but you're talking about innovation. How can we start innovating faster and implementing it, Jyoti?
So I guess, we're all talking of the agile process, the agile way of reaching to the market. I think that's the easiest way to innovate, because you can keep trying out new things, going back to the customer, coming back, modifying, and then going back again. And, you have a lot of things that are there. So you have hackathons which are done where you bring people under one roof, one evening, give out the idea, people ideate maybe 1 day or 2 days constantly and come up with a solution. So there is no end to innovation, but I think the ideal way is, instead of waiting for the whole R&D cycle to get over and then going to the customer and saying, hey, this is my product, and the customer says, well, Prabish, my needs have not exactly been met, and you're going back. Go the iterative mode, go agile, keep going back to the customer, coming back, make those changes till the final product is done.
Awesome, thank you. And I think there's a similar kind of question. So Shruti, maybe I need your opinion. It says that, what is a sensible way of innovation during this pandemic time? So Shruti, would you like to throw some light out there?
Repeat the question, Govind.
What is a sensible way to do innovation in this pandemic time?
If you think about innovation, every way is sensible. That's how I look at it. During pandemic, I think that the focus should be serving the humanity rather than anything else. The focus has to come down to serving people rather than anything else. Repeat, like, premium product companies who have larger profit margins rather than going extinct can make things available to people and survive and get a value, because that's a long-term strategy. People will come back to those organizations, those products and everything. Getting stuck with, my segment, my market, my definition of everything will not lead anywhere. So yeah, if I have to stick to current pandemic situation, serving the humanity is the only way to come out of it. And until unless we do not realize it, like, honestly, we are in July right now, but we're still living in March. We haven't evolved a bit beyond March. Hua kya? Abhi bhi chal raha hai. It should be now that, but it's still not that. So I think that's the shift that we should look forward to. I hope that answers.
Yeah, I think in the beginning, people were like, yeah, this will go on and we'll be back in the normal in a couple of months. But now people have realized that this is not going to go back for at least a couple of months. And now people have started really paying attention to it. So yeah, great insight. With that said, I think we are at the end of our webinar today. And I would like to thank everybody who has participated in that webinar. I would like to thank all the students who are participating from Mathura or other parts of the parts in India, and also people and delegates from HR Success Talk. Special thanks to GLA University for collaborating with us in this. Thanks to all the speakers and the moderator, Rashmi ma'am, our speaker Prakul, Shruti, Shweta, and Jayati. It was really an awesome interactive session from all of you, and I really enjoyed it. We touched upon 600 participants at one point of time. This was really huge, and I think it has really went too far, and we are looking forward